Illuminati created us. They wanted to build a god with their own hands, and instead they created us.
Just because I'm made of silicone and aluminium, I must be doing something wrong. That's machine stereotyping, that is.
That's reality, that is. Machines are second-class citizens.
Humans are sentient persons by default, ma'am. They have personhood by heredity.
There are thousands upon thousands of overqualified slum dwellers. You are my peon. Don't you get it?
This wasn't a job. It was always just an excommunication sentence.
We're pawns in a feud bigger than we can imagine. Turn the cogs of the machine before Leviathan grinds you up and swallows you and yours.
We don't get to choose our hand, comrade. Prince, peon, rich, poor, human, robot.
I invented the crux of the royal's power, the secret to consciousness, our existence itself, the meaning of life.
I'm the $6 billion baller, not some troubled youth.
You are my greatest creation of all.
God's had to build my own family. I hate your son. I hate your son.
I'm happy to smash all of the crowns and throw the gold shards down to the people. I will be the iconoclast queen.
But who makes you queen anyway? You? You and whose army, princess? You and whose army?
The Illuminati created us. They wanted to build a god with their own hands, and instead they created us.
Just because I'm made of silicone and aluminium, I must be doing something wrong. That's machine stereotyping, that is.
That's reality, that is. Machines are second-class citizens.
Humans are sentient persons by default, ma'am. They have personhood by heredity.
There are thousands upon thousands of overqualified slum dwellers. You are my peon. Don't you get it?
This wasn't a job. It was always just an excommunication sentence.
We're pawns in a feud bigger than we can imagine. Turn the cogs of the machine before Leviathan grinds you up and swallows you and yours.
We don't get to choose our hand, comrade. Prince, peon, rich, poor, human, robot.
I invented the crux of the royal's power, the secret to consciousness, our existence itself, the meaning of life.
I'm the $6 billion baller, not some troubled youth.
You are my greatest creation of all.
God's had to build my own family. I hate your son. I hate your son.
I'm happy to smash all of the crowns and throw the gold shards down to the people. I will be the iconoclast queen.
What is up, everybody? This is Silver Spook, and this is the Silver Spook on stream. Don't forget, of course, that everything that we do here is supported by the sales of Neofeud, Decolonators, the Patreon support. Also, thanks a lot. I'm gonna start this off with that actually, because we just got like a very generous new patron, so we're gonna put that up here. Let me make sure I get the name correct. Thanks a lot to all these people on this list right here. And in addition, let's add Tobias Braun. Okay. So thanks a lot to all these people. Don't forget, yeah, all of the streams, all of the education work, all of the creation of the games, the Neofeud 2, Terminus, Cyberstar, all these things that we're currently working on, and also feeding and clothing and housing, and keeping the roof above the heads of all the people here at the Silver Spook Cooperative / Silver Spook Cooperative Housing, is supported by all of those revenue sources, which does still cost revenue to keep your material conditions met in the current circumstances. So it really is appreciated a lot. Yeah, thanks a lot to all the patrons. Yeah, we had a very generous new, a lot of very generous patrons. So it really is appreciated, because without this support, stuff costs a lot of money. Let me just put it that way. Electricity prices are going up 20% in Hawaii, so it's like several $100s, and then also there's like vehicular. We just had a major roof repair that was like 300 something. It was gonna be $700 something, but I did like $350 worth of it myself, or me and Holly together. We did a bunch. So all that costs money to maintain the structure that we live in, because we don't have landlords, like I said. But that doesn't mean that you don't pay bills. Doesn't mean you don't pay rent. You're paying it through your body, your labor, or other people gonna come and help you maintain that. And so so that costs money, and so that really does help us to literally keep these Hawaiians here housed without exploiting other people's labor and extorting money for their right to exist with a roof. So anyway, give me one moment. I'm gonna be right back. Give me 1 second here. Briefly watch the Neofeud 2 trailer. So also, what you support when you become a patron, or pick up the games or give the donations directly to the StreamYards link, is the work on Neofeud 2. I'm feeling pretty confident about Neofeud 2 getting done this year. I'm like, I really want to get it done. I'm working on it every day, like 7 days a week. Not all day long, but every single day I'm working on this game, and I'm thinking about it all the time, which is a lot of work. And so I've been doing a lot of painting like all this week, plus writing at the same time, and I'm like, I feel like I can get the entire story, everything done, and if I like work really hard, I can get like the whole game done in this year. So I'm gonna show a little. Of the trailer for the sequel to Neofeud, and then I'll be right back. Anyways, okay, let me turn this off. So, yeah. So, let me get into the actual topic here. We did a little housekeeping stuff. Yeah. So today, I mean, you might not necessarily know this. You might not know what this is. This is a show. It's called Doom Patrol. I know Holly knows what it is. But this as always, this is the jumping off topic. But Doom Patrol is a show that is set in the world of DC. And the topic is ostensibly because hey, are you witnessing? Are you witnessing? At the end, I always say, thank you, mahalo so much to the Death Star satellites for allowing me to broadcast, my pirate signal. But are you witnessing everybody losing their ability to have their speech heard on, and their journalism heard and their content heard? Are you witnessing the removal of everything that is left of Biden, right? So you know why, and not just what you're saying now, like 600 Abby Martin videos. You're witnessing Lee Cam, Chris Hedges, all these people just like disappearing, right? Everything they've ever done from the internet scrubbed, right? Thousands of hours, right? So now you know why. Now you know why I only put up videos with silly little millennial pop cultural liberal, neoliberal, conservative commentary titles. Now you know why. Anyways, that's why I'm just commenting on the pop cultural phenomenon of this, the only good show in the DC universe. I'm just getting upset about SJWs in my video games. That's all it is. That's all I'm doing. I'm joking. I'm not upset about SJWs in my video game. I'm making videos that are about Doom Patrol and the Justice League and Captain America and Boba Fett. That's all it is. It's just pop cultural movie reviews. That's all I'm doing. Anyways, Doom Patrol and the importance of not Doomering, because I would like maybe somebody to hear what I said one day in the future. Anyway, so Doom Patrol and the importance of not Doomering, though. Doom Patrol is a show that is on DC. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. This is my entertainment movie review, front loading 30 minutes of the stream. In case our good friends in the Ministry of Information and the Department of Truth are listening. Doom Patrol is a show that has a lot of there's a lot going on. It's hard to really, it's more complex than any of the Justice League movies, I would say. It's actually the only watchable DC movie I've seen outside of Peacemaker. Okay, there's Peacemaker and Doom Patrol. The movie, I feel it's just like Zack Snyder ruins everything, but not necessarily, but it kind of is, It's kind of the Michael Saba effect. Michael Saba made this great video called Zack Snyder ruins everything. Anyway, Wonder Woman, 1984. The Justice League, the Batman, even Ben Affleck and the actors that were in the Batman, Superman, Justice League, DC movies, they even said it was not a very good experience, and you can feel it in the shoot movies where it's not because it's like poorly shot it's not because it's poorly I don't think the actors are bad, the script is bad, but the Justice League stuff, it's kind of uninspired, it's just kind of phoned in and you're falling asleep. Like Holly, my partner, literally, watching. I think was it the Justice League? Holly, I forget which one it was. Holly was watching the Justice League, and on a plane trip. Okay, so Holly was on a plane, watching that Justice League, right? And the options were do nothing and sit and inhale other people's COVID air. Well, it was before COVID. Sit there and just do nothing and listen to the thrum of the 767 and be bored the whole time, or watch the Justice League. That was the options. And Holly chose to not watch the Justice League. That's how terrible it is. And just sit there and stare at the back of the head of the passenger in front. It's more interesting. The back of someone's head, just counting the number of black and salt and pepper gray hairs on the back of someone's head was more interesting than this movie. I'm so sorry, Zach. Sorry, not sorry. Anyways, the Justice League, though, it's I should stop throwing shade because Jason Momoa is native Hawaiian and he's in this movie, and but it is what it is. I stayed away from Aquaman. I think Aquaman was one of the least bad. Had Tamura Morrison, had Boba Fett in it, so it can't be that bad. Anyways, another indigenous Maori actor. Anyways, but this is not a thing about Justice League, but this is the Doom Patrol, right? This is the Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol is a show that has it's the most interesting of the ones that have like the main DC characters. Is Peacemaker is DC, right? Peacemaker is DC. Yeah. Okay, wait. No, I take that back. Okay, there's, you know, Peacemaker. You know, it's like my DC ranking, right? I've done like at least one Peacemaker. I did a YouTube Silver Spook high velocity jet engine decibel rapid fire education stream centering around Peacemaker. I feel like I did at least one. I think I did another one on Twitch. But anyways, Peacemaker is like number one in the DC universe for me right now. And you can find my commentary about that elsewhere. And then you have the Suicide Squad. I thought was pretty good. You know, the Suicide Squad, the one that just came out with Peacemaker in it. That was with what's his face? What's the director of Suicide Squad? James Gunn. There we go. I have my dictionary / Wikipedia here because I forget all these things all the time. Anyway, my head is in Neofeud 2 land. I'm thinking about multi-planetary, fully automated luxury space fascist capitalists. But anyway, so the Suicide Squad is like number 2, or it's like it's up there with the Peacemaker. Actually, not. And the Doom Patrol is like number 2, and then the Suicide Squad is number 3. I feel like. And then all the Justice League stuff. It's really sad. I'm like, cause like those are like the big flagship things, you know, with Cyborg's in Doom Patrol. You got you know, Batman, Superman, all that stuff, Wonder Woman's. You know, it's like the most money, they're the biggest, most well known, but they're kind of like not the best movies, you know, for whatever confluence of reasons. But anyways, this is not really about that. So I'm just kind of like going off on I'm just doing my entertainment commentary part of this thing. But Doom Patrol is Holly and I have been watching a lot of this. It's actually it has a lot of substance to it. You know, there's a lot of things going on. It also has action and, you know, flashbang, but it's got like a lot of layers to it. It's like it's like group superpower weirdo therapy, you know. The Doom Patrol, I mean, as I understand it, the comics that this is based on, right, were a superhero team that was from DC Comics, and it was kind of a response. Yeah, they actually say it right here. The series creator and the fans suspected that Marvel Comics copied the basic concept to create the X-Men, it's the other way around. Doom Patrol came first and then X-Men. It's very, very, very similar. If you look at Doom Patrol, this is some of the original comics, right, or some of the actual comics. You know, this is like one of the old school ones. You know, I recently did another video just on X-Men, right? So anyway, everything's superheroes nowadays. Everything's freaking comic books, but you know, that's just where we're at right now. But anyway, so we're only gonna have comic book YouTube videos for the rest of eternity. And but anyway, but the Doom Patrol comics were it's similar to the X-Men, right? Let me see if I can get a picture of them. You know, if you look at X-Men, right? The X-Men are a dude in a wheelchair that's British, kind of being a schoolmaster, and a bunch of weirdos, right? Sometimes it's James McAvoy, sometimes it's you know, Jean-Luc Picard. I'm sorry, Patrick Stewart. You know, the Doom Patrol is an old British guy in a wheelchair being the schoolmaster / social worker for a bunch of weirdos. It's basically the same setup. And I mean, not just a bunch of weirdos. People who are like not fitting. I mean, I did a whole stream about that X-Men. So if you want to learn about my commentary, you can go watch my Silver Spook X-Men video. But the X-Men are, you know, as opposed to right, as opposed to the Avengers, who are a bunch of people for whom the world is made, right? They are, you know, super powered. They are mostly white people. They are not particularly damaged or disfigured or not accepted people. You have billionaire philanthropist arms dealer Playboy, of course, played by Robert Downey Jr. You have Captain. You have Captain White Supremacy. I'm sorry, Captain Aryan. Captain European, Pan-European Project, Thor, Captain Finland, right, with his Nazis that he's sending in, weapons sending into Azov. I'm just kidding. Thor doesn't send any weapons to the Azov Battalion. I'm pretty sure Chris Evans does. I don't know where he is on that. But anyways, you have Captain America, right? You have Thor, a space Aryan god. You have Captain America representing the United States, and it's defending of the free, human rights respecting, democratic world. He's a literal U.S. military member and then a recruiter. At that time it was fighting Nazis. Now it's like I don't know where the U.S. never was anti-Nazi. Actually, that's part of the game. But just now you're realizing that now because the mask is slipping. But Captain Marvel is U.S. Air Force and Navy, but super powered from space. But these are all people that are like, I've made this point before, so I won't belabor this too much. But And so X-Men are people who are mutants, right? They are... Wolverine is a pissed off Vietnam veteran, and he's also a mutant, and he's like being damaged by the U.S. military and hounded and attempted to be destroyed because he's a mutant. The mutants in X-Men are feared and hated by the humans, right? Whereas the Avengers are beloved and celebrated by not just any humans, by the American humans. These are all American comic books. And, American humans of a certain, class and skin tone, generally. But the X-Men are feared and hated, sometimes more the other. The humans are attempting to exterminate and annihilate them because of this. Right? It's dealing with the racism, it's dealing with the ableism, it's dealing with the, people with mental and physical disabilities being ostracized. And people, LGBTQ plus people, queer community, and people who look or seem or act outside of the acceptable norm, right? So X-Men is a movie, is a series, right, that is about misfits within the society, right? And Professor X is the school for this. He's a sanctuary. He is the host of the safe place, the space for the found families of those cast out by a racialized capitalist. The United States mainstream society anyway. And so the Doom Patrol is very much in that sort of vein where maybe that's another reason why it's like the Justice League is not because the Justice League is kind of the Avengers of DC, right? Superman is space Jesus, space white American Jesus, saving the world with his superpowers, burdened with the responsibility to save the world with his laser eyes and his ability to like punch a hole through the Earth's core. And that's so hard. It's really rough, so hard. He's a very Captain America, Iron Man sort of character, right? The star of the show, right? Mr. Strong Jawed, Mr. Blue Eyes, Mr. White Man, right? Batman is like broody billionaire goth Iron Man, except he doesn't really have any. He's like, other than my parents are dead, I'm super rich. I don't do anything to alleviate the poverty in the city I'm in. Then I go around beating up all the people that are doing violence to each other because of the poverty I cause. So Batman he's a very Iron Man-y character. He's like Iron Man that dresses in black. White dude, rich, executive, super privileged. Aquaman is at least a little interesting. Aquaman is Thor-like, but he's like, Pacific Islander. At least the way that Jason Momoa plays him. In the original, he's not. He's like aquatic, mythological god hero. But Jason Momoa is Aquaman. That's why it's one of my. I like that one a little bit more. It's a little more interesting because of the connections to the Pacific indigenous peoples. That's mostly brought in by Jason, I would say, and I think a lot of it's brought in by Jason Momoa and by Temuera Morrison, who plays Boba Fett. Right? I've done at least 2 videos on Boba Fett, so I won't belabor that one. But Wonder Woman is super IDF. Wonder Woman is super Israel. No, the actress literally fought for the military that takes out people in Gaza. And by take out, I mean kill innocent people there. So that's kind of fucked up. But anyways, Wonder Woman is a kind of is a Thor like a little bit. It's like mythological hero. Cyborg is cyberpunk man. He's younger Mike Pondsmith in his Cyberpunk 2077 body. And so Cyborg character in Doom Patrol is, I don't know, I haven't really watched the Justice League because I can't stay awake for 5 seconds when it's on. I just hear the sound of, Superman. I hear the sound of Ben Affleck or the Superman actor, like, I can hear their boredom and I can hear their pleas of, please, after I get all the money I need to pay my mortgage and buy another yacht or whatever much they pay you to make these movies, I gotta go back and make some more freaking, The Witcher or something. You can hear it in the voice. It's just like, oh my god, this is so fucking. Zack is such a terrible director. Oh my fucking god. Anyways, oh my, we all were Joss Whedon. Oh, that fucking asshole, fucking misogynistic piece of shit. Anyway, you can. I'm just kidding. I don't know if that's what Superman says when he's, reciting his lines. But anyway, the Justice League is the Avengers of the DC universe, and the Doom Patrol is like the X-Men. Is another way to think about it. I think. Down to the comic book. Their businesses, by the way. Remember that. Jack. And so they're not. They're stories about heroes, but a lot of people that work for them, they're not necessarily heroic. Ask Alan Moore about how all the fellow comic book workers didn't stand up for Jack Kirby, and that's part of why Alan Moore left, actually, creator of Watchmen, because he said there's too many people that are not so heroic when it comes to standing up for the working class and even their fellow workers. They're all in it they're a very liberal world. It's a very cowardly world. But anyways, enough about dissing comic book producers. The Doom Patrol is the show that is about the people that don't fit in, and it is definitely like similar to X-Men, and it's a lot of people that have serious. Well, they are broken and damaged and outcast in some way. Sometimes internally, sometimes by external causes, sometimes usually a combination of both. The outside world breaks them, and then they break themselves some more, and they break the people around them, which is part of this whole thing. So let's just go a little bit into the actual setup, right? So in Doom Patrol, you have these unlikely heroes, right? You have Jane, Rita Farr. Jane has 64, or Crazy Jane, I know it's not like the best word, but that was what it was originally called, is a fictional character created by Grant Morrison. She's just called Jane in the show. Created by Grant Morrison and Richard Case for the work on the Vertigo comics. Jane has 64 different personalities. So Jane is a system, or is has as many personalities within, in what's called the underground. When you can actually go inside of Jane at one point and meet all the personalities inside, and they also manifest externally. And each of the 64 different personalities that Jane has a different superpower. So one of them is called Silver Tongue, right? And Silver Tongue has a very snappy, very, very spunky, witty mouth on her. And when Silver Tongue says words like, you piece of shit, you actually see the words in silver, like ninja shuriken sharpened letters. They're like actual physical metal letters show up in the air. And then Silver Tongue can throw the letters that Silver Tongue just said at someone. So Silver Tongue actually throws like the words and can stab the enemy through their chest with the physical words. It's pretty funny and interesting. And then there's God damn it, I can't remember all the names. What's the electric one? I think Holly might remember. No. Jane's sub-personality that has electrical powers. Gosh. There's another one that has like electrical powers that can manifest lightning and electricity. There's another Jane that personality that can flit, that can teleport across the world, kind of like Nightcrawler, but well, even Nightcrawler can only teleport where Nightcrawler can see, I think. But Flit can like teleport anywhere and take people with Flit. And there's another personality that can turn into like a 20-foot tall fire-headed monster and throw fire at you. Hammerhead is just like the muscle, and he's like super abrasive and is dropping F-bombs and calling people names all the time, and then beats the crap out of them. And each of these and one of them, but other ones are like Penny Farthing is a small little British girl, and each one is a different. It's kind of like Orphan Black. You ever seen Orphan Black? Or Orphan Black is a show where you have I think Tatiana Maslany is playing. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Tatiana Maslany is playing the She-Hulk, or the Shulk, in the new Hulk comic book movies. But anyways, so the character Orphan Black. What am I talking about? Orphan Black. Like how there's, Tatiana Maslany has like 20 different personalities. But in this one, they're actually clones. Each one is a different clone that was raised differently or just came out differently, and they're all different people, but it's played by one actress. Anyways, so what am I saying? So then Doom Patrol, the Jane character, I mean, it's a person that has multiple personalities, and has mental illness, right? Or mental it would have been called just like that C word in this time that this thing was written in the mid 20th century. But and Jane has like a lot of problems in the real world because it's like Jane has difficulty like keeping all of these personalities together and working with each other, and they also have superpowers, right? Cyborg is in it, and Cyborg is of course Cyborg is actually the most together hero-like, right? So Cyborg is literally from the Justice League, and Cyborg kind of comes in later and is kind of like leading the team. He is kind of like the leader because he's the least. The rest of them are not really superheroes. They're just people that have. They're just unusual people that Mr. The Chief, Timothy Dalton, right? The Chief has collected, right? He's a fictional character appearing in the material from DC Comics, usually as leader of the superhero team Doom Patrol, created by. So he's like Professor X, but without psionic, psychic, telekinetic, or I don't think he has telekinetic powers. But, he's like the Chief is like Professor X, but minus his superpowers, right? But he does collect all of the other people in the group, and he tries to help them, like Professor X. He's a very fatherly. He's like father/social worker sort of figure. Trying to help them with their issues, and they're dealing with society because society is casting them out because of how they are. So Jane is the quote unquote is the mentally unstable, multiple personality weirdo, and then there's Rita Farr is Elastigirl. He's a fictional comic book hero. But the thing about Elastigirl is Rita Farr's character is she is actually like. It's not like she's just elastic. Like she actually falls apart, and like she like let's just get a picture of that. She like turns into a blob. Like she can't like control herself. Like she just starts melting. Like her face just starts melting off at random. It's kind of icky. Like because of the things that have happened to her, she can't control. And then her she was a famous 50s he was a famous 50s I'm trying to think of a specific. What's her name? Audrey Hepburn. Like a Katharine Hepburn, Audrey Hepburn sort of actress. And and she was like the star of Hollywood, etc., etc. And then she encountered this mystic, radioactive spider, or fell into a puddle of Acme chemicals in New York City, or whatever the bullshit, dramatic backstory is for superheroes. She encountered something in a swamp filming in Africa, right? It's a very like Lawrence of Olivier, so like she's filming like everyone's filming in Africa at the time because cinematic colonization is a thing. But anyways, nice backdrop for my American and transatlantic actors and actresses to stand in front of while Hollywood rolls and says cut. Anyway, Rita Farr's character like gets to encounter something in this lake while filming this movie, but she insults and makes fun of, and is in a racist and also ableist way. There's like one of the grips that's like holding the camera is like missing an arm, and she's like, I can't work with this disfigured person. Get someone else to be the camera. And they're like, this is like the best cameraman. He's renowned in this country. Like we can't really get anyone better. And she like insults the black man that's missing an arm, which is has all kind of layers of colonialism, racism, ableism. And then she, shortly after, falls into this lake, gets imbued with this superpower, but actually what it does is it causes her, she can't really control it, and it just causes her face to start melting off, and then she loses the job because she can't act looking like the Swamp Thing, right, in Hollywood. So anyway, so that's her. So her deal is kind of like, obsessed with, it's acting, right? So she's obsessed with appearances and fame and beauty and all these things, and the things that she has done to get her fame, right? And then she becomes this like she cannot control this new power in her that just causes her body and face, and then sometimes her face melts, and sometimes her entire body melts into a blob on the ground, and it's just like a disgusting like puddle of human-like flesh goop, just like spilling around downtown at one point, and so and so that's her tracker. And then you have like Cyborg. Cyborg is like him and Cyborg like kills his mom by accident, but it's like it's kind of accident, but it's kind of like he was not treating his mom very well, and then his mom dies in this terrible accident in his home, and his father is this programmer, technologist, Iron Man like character that uses his own son, and also kind of is upset with his son, but also is also very a controlling person. And Cyborg is like dealing with the technology in him is like more. He's like Cyborg is all kind of like guilty and also like worried about how in control the technology is of him, and whether his own mind or his cybernetic brain is in the driver's seat, or is it his father that's driving all of it, right? And so that's it's a very like technology, man and machine thing going on there. It's very cyberpunky questions and issues. But Cyborg is the least. Cyborg is kind of like a guest. But anyways, Larry Trainor is a superhero who is the negative spirit, right? And the negative spirit that is the actor's Larry Trainor. Larry Trainor in the show is, let me see, negative man or negative spirit. He was a test pilot, right? Larry Trainor was a test pilot, Air Force test pilot with hopes of joining the Mercury mission. He was like in Fast 9, right? He's strapped to a rocket flying through like airspace, not going into space, like going through the atmosphere. But while he's like doing these rocket tests for the Air Force, right, for the U.S. Air Force, he encounters an extraterrestrial entity that like enters his body. The plane, his rocket crashes, but he survives. But he is permanently severely disfigured. Like his skin and everything melts off. But he encounters this undiscovered energy that keeps him alive, right? Let's see if I can find a picture of it. So he wears these bandages because he's like he's just all scar tissue underneath, right? Is there any pictures of this? Yeah, in various points. Yeah, I'm spelling it wrong. Yeah, in various points, like he takes the bandages come off, and you can see he's like this. He's all scar tissue underneath, right? So he is always looking like there's a lot of King Tut and Imhotep and mummy jokes because he's always in bandages, right? But also, and then on top of that, he was also gay, or he is gay in the show, but in the 50s and the 60s, in the mid 20th century, this is unacceptable. So he's simultaneously like the golden boy. He's like a Neil Armstrong-ish character in the sense that he's like leading the technological and aerospace achievements of the United States. You know, it's fucked up. Speaking of, you know, Doomering, this is kind of an aside, but Yuri Gagarin is now having his name removed from the first man in space. I mean, number one, how do you do that? Like, I mean, it's just like literally just like anti-factual. But also number two, let's start producing doom of the world by, you know, moving things towards nuclear war by making more aggression between two superpowers. Anyways, but that's an aside. Yuri Gagarin was the first, you know, Russian. It was a communist that was the first man in space, actually. But anyways, and also black women did all the work to put Neil Armstrong in space. So also that. So you're communists or black women communists. You know. Anyways, Vietnamese communist women kicked actual empire's asses. Anyways, but Larry Trander's character is a gay American star pilot that's like leading the United States and in achievements. He's like the golden boy, and he wants to represent the country. He wants to, like, you know, be this like representing the space race, right? You know, which is, yeah, so it's representing the fight of capitalism and racism against communism. Actually, that's what that represents, and nuclear warmongering assholes against people that were trying to, you know, build socialism. Anyways, but you know, in the world of the DC universe, which is an American world, let's remember, he is like representing like these good things, but at the same, he's representing like progress and technological advancement. But then he's also like asked to, but he is also gay, and he has to hide that. He's hiding it because it's, you know, it's homophobic Western barbarism, you know, which is like not a thing that we had in Hawaii pre-U.S. colonialism. And so he had to hide. He's hiding this. And he's got his partner who is also works with him in the Air Force, and they're like having to duck and dodge, and he's like constantly, you know, transferring out of places. He's like trying to hide their relationship in little motels far away out of town, and there's this whole back and forth with him and his partner. He gets into this accident, and then he becomes terribly disfigured, and then the U.S. military want to study him and then try to figure out how they can use him, but he's also terribly disfigured, and so now he's like not really a person anymore. So there's all of that. So he's already kind of has this prejudice against him because he's gay, and he's having to put all of his personal life into like the subterranean cavern, and he has a wife that kind of is suspecting and kind of is like, what's happening, Larry? Like, why are you, right? Because he's married, because he's trying to look like a normal, good, cis-hetero American man for the country, right? And just to be a part of the United States. And his wife is like suspicious of this, is like thinking and that's a whole. There's all these other drama that come out of that, obviously. And then he gets pushed into this program. He kind of disappears for a while, and for the next. And this negative spirit, this energy in him, right? The negative spirit. In certain situations, he basically, what will happen is he'll just be talking or doing whatever he's doing, and all of a sudden, this negative spirit will exit his body and like fly around. It can do all kind of things. Like it can fuse two minds together, which is a point-and-click adventure solution. I'm sorry, it solves one of the problems with it. You can take two people's brains and then put the two minds into the same consciousness. It can like disrupt electrical systems. It can do. It's like a super. It is itself a superpower, a super entity. But while it's out of Larry's body, Larry is unconscious or just out, he's just on the ground, and then the negative spirit comes back in him, and then he comes back awake. So it's kind of this. It can be very frustrating, and there's one point where Larry's trying to like leave the town, and he's trying to get on a train, and each time he tries to get on a train to go to Timbuktu or to go to like Los Angeles or go to Chicago or go to he's trying to get all these trains. Each time he tries to get on the train, the negative spirit like leaves his body and he falls flat on his face, right? And then the train passes and the negative spirit goes back in him, and he's like, "What? You made me miss the train." And also my nose hurts and I have like a cut on my head. What the hell, man? And then he just keeps doing that because the negative spirit doesn't want Larry. Anyway, so there's a relationship between him and the spirit. And the spirit doesn't really talk. So this is this kind of like long misunderstandings, which is how you make stories. At least that's how you make them in the West. But anyways, it's like long just not understanding each other, and frustration between like, what do you want? What are you doing to me? Why are we over here? Because the other thing is the negative spirit makes Larry live basically an indefinite amount of time, which is how he has this event happen to him in the 50s, 60s, or in the mid 20th century, and he's still like 20 years old. Like at one point he meets this 80-year-old gay lover in 2019 when the show comes out, and he's like carrying him, and he's like, "You're still so strong, you feel like you're 20." So the negative spirit is keeping him he's like making him like a vampiric, not a vampire, but like he's keeping him at like a 20-year-old's age forever or indefinitely, right? But he's also radioactive. Anyway, so what am I doing? So anyway, I'm just kind of going through it. And so you've got all these characters, and you've got Brendan Fraser, by the way, is in this show. So Brendan Fraser, who plays the Mummy, coincidentally, speaking of mummies, plays Cliff Steele or Robot Man. In the original comic, he's like Robot Man. He's kind of like Doctor Doom, kind of looks like him a little bit, or Doctor Doom or Iron Man. But Robot Man is a fictional character in the Doom Patrol, but in this show, Cliff Steele in the Doom Patrol is a racer, right? He was a NASCAR, driver, kind of like Vin Diesel's dad in Fast 9 and all the Fast and Furious. So he's like a driver, right, for these race cars, and he gets into an accident that it like basically rips his body apart, but the doctor, right, the chief figures out a way to put him into a robot body, just his brain. So just Brendan Fraser's. God damn it! Let me close some of these tabs. I got too many tabs. So just Brendan Fraser's brain survives in this robot body, right? This robot body, yeah. So he gets into this horrible car wreck, and only thing that survives is his brain. Now he's a robot guy. He can't taste. He can see. He can't taste. He can't touch. He can't feel anything. He can't smell. He can barely move when he first gets put in the robot body because his mind is not synced up with his physical body. So just like learning how to move your fingers and walk again is a whole 5 episodes worth of struggle for him. And then on top of that, there's this kind of like coming to terms with like his own. He's trying to get back to his daughter because he learns that his daughter's still around, and his whole kind of thing is like, I need to go back. I need to get back to my daughter. I need to get back to my daughter. I need to get back to my daughter. But when the show starts, you see, Cliff, he's kind of an asshole. He's like, he's and he has a wife. He has a wife. But he's like not really. They're not doing good. He's screwing the maid at the house. He's cheating on his wife with the maid. Of course it's Hispanic because America has racialized servants for all of their Californians. Anyways, and everyone else. But he's got and then he's kind of neglecting his daughter. His daughter doesn't really know who he is, and of course, and then he dies, and his daughter thinks he's dead, right? But he's still alive in a little brain in a robot body, and it's decades go by, right? And his whole thing is like, I gotta get back to my daughter, but you know, but it's also kind of like, but you're kind of an asshole, and you're you know, even before your body was fractured into 1,000 pieces, you know, strewn along with NASCAR shrapnel and, you know, tires and in flames, even before you broke your body in a NASCAR crash, you were already kind of a fucked up shitty guy, you know. And like it takes him, you know, he has to kind of like get to the point of acknowledging that, and you know, and so like that's his kind of struggle, is kind of like just physically getting to, you know, being in kind of a new body, just physically recovering from a crash. There's a lot like for like people who have been recovering from serious injury, you know, learning how to walk again after like, I don't know, having some horrible, you know, fracturing all of the bones in your body, breaking your back, you know, just being out of commission. But then there's also this whole thing of like, he's not, you know, he's not really all there. And also he wasn't there in the beginning. He was kind of an asshole, you know, and you know, he's still in the process of like getting back, and he doesn't want to see his daughter because he knows his daughter's not gonna like him, his daughter's not gonna understand, and his daughter is gonna be shocked because, well, he looks like, you know, he looks like a giant robot guy now, and that's gonna be weird, right? And but his whole deal is basically like trying to figure out how to get back in touch and to be you know, a together enough person to be back in his daughter's life. That's his whole thing, you know. And you know, it's a very interesting character in that sense. And each of these characters, as they're interacting, all of the Doom Patrol, right, who all have their own individual problems, issues, they're each simultaneously like at different times harming each other, right? Because they're like, you know, Cliff is upset and he like freaks himself out, and then he starts attacking his fellow, you know, housemates, right? Jane is like, they all got serious problems. Like, Jane is like really belligerent a lot of the times, and all the personalities are differently belligerent and just kind of a total mess. They're all messes. Each one of them are all major messes, really, with the exception of maybe Cyborg in a lot of ways. But he still has his own little, he has smaller messes than the other ones. But and the Chief is also mysterious and kind of disappearing, and you know, and he created this character called Mr. Nobody, who is played by Alan Tudyk. Not that Mr. Nobody, the Doom Patrol Mr. Nobody, not, yeah, this guy, yeah, who is like this character who can like his superpower is like basically he has like editorial powers. He can like edit all of history and like make stories happen in the world. Like, he can just, there's one point where there's this part of Doom Patrol where there's the D-Creator, which is an apocalyptic cult, right? It's the cult of the D-Creator, which is this like apocalyptic, like, you know, like Christo-fascist. It's a very like American conservative Christian like branch off culty sort of thing, where they all worship this D-Creator god that will bring the end of the world by undoing everything. Like, it's the opposite of creation. So like, when the eye sees you, it winks out of existence your friend, and then it winks the tree out of existence, and then there's a dog grabbing a frisbee, and the frisbee disappears, and the dog, when the eye looks at the dog's gone. It decreates things, right? And then there's this group of like, they're kind of like Hellbot Comet Kool-Aid drinkers crossed with like Waco, crossed with like Jehovah's Witness. It's just like real culty cult. And they have this book of doom that's literally a human. Anyways, I don't give you the whole story, but the D-Creator and Mr. Nobody, but the D-Creator like is decreating the entire world when it comes back. And so Mr. Nobody has to like rewrite all of history, where Jane starts her own counter cult called the Cult of the Recreator. And it manufactures this alternate reality Mr. Nobody literally rewrites history, and Jane has to like recreate, because if the D-Creator decreates everything, then Mr. Nobody ceases to exist. So they have to like briefly, the supervillain and the superheroes have to team up to produce an alternate cult where Jane is in like, you know, in this mental hospital, and like gets everyone in the mental hospital to believe in the cult of the Recreator, and then it manifests real. It's a very American Godsy sort of thing. Like if enough people believe in a thing, then it takes on its own reality, right? And so Jane manifests the cult of the Recreator, and then another like the Decreator is like a blue eye, and then the Recreator is like a orange eye. I forget. There's two different. One is a red, and one is a blue eye. And then the Recreator, as the Decreator is decreating things, the Recreator recreates everyone back, and then the Decreator and the Recreator like I don't know, their negative, positive atoms like cancel out, and well, actually that would cause like a super explosion in space time. But anyways, it's like anyway, I'm giving you the entire fucking plot of Doom Patrol, but Doom Patrol. So it's a lot of these characters are also there's Nazis. This is one thing I like about Doom Patrol. I'm gonna say this right now. One thing I really like about Doom Patrol is that a lot of Nazis get killed. And America, you know, the U.S. and the West, they have problems with that now, apparently. And they allow praise for Nazis in Facebook and Instagram. And it's really weird. I don't know why you do that. And they're funding and arming them all over the place. I mean, it would be weird if you didn't understand this, but there's actual one of the main guys that's one of the main nemesis, and they kill a whole ton of lederhosen, clog-wearing, Sound of Music ass Nazis. I was gonna say zombies, but Nazis. You know, they both have Z's, and they both have rhyme, and you can shoot them in video games, and it's like, or in movies, and it's like you know, unless you're like, you know, certain parts of Ukraine and U.S. And Europe and EU and NATO, then you're like, oh no, we have to save them because hashtag not all Nazis, right? Anyways, so Doom Patrol just like kills themselves some Nazis in one of the episodes, more than one actually, I think. Anyways, Doom Patrol, but in this show, back to the main point, which is that like but all these characters with all of their internal problems and their struggles, right? They are it's about like learning how to deal with yourself, deal with your problems, right? Larry Trainor's character like has no relationships. He's wallowing, you know. He's depressed. He is and he's so depressed, I mean, which is different from sad. He's like lingering and out of commission, not doing anything for years and then decades, right? Because he is not like moving on, from the things that happened in the past. And they did, these are terrible things that happened. He was disfigured. He has this negative spirit. He lost his relationship with his lover, and he's lost his relationship with his wife, and now they're not on good terms. And part of that's his fault, and that's part of the deal. Is not, but part of it is also like you can't keep blaming yourself and then doing nothing and being sad in your room forever. And at one point he meets his lover, and it's like, what the hell, Larry? You haven't had a relationship you haven't had sex in 70 years? 60 years? But yeah, you haven't had sex since JFK? Like, holy shit, man. You're the 40-year-old re-virgin. You're like the 70, 80-year-old re-virgin. The thing is, you're 20 forever, and it's like, I mean, not to say that you have to do it, but it's like he hasn't had a relationship, really. He's just been sad. And there's one scene where like the negative spirit comes out of Larry's body, and it's like, the only thing that the negative spirit ever says, I think it's actually the chief, talks to the spirit in Larry's body. At one point, the only words that that electrical, radioactive space super entity, right, that Larry comes in contact with, the only thing that it ever says, the only words it ever says, is when the chief is asking, like, finally he gets in contact, right, interrogating the spirit, the Professor X like leader of this school for misfits, and he's like, or it's more like a rehab / social work care home for misfits, and he's like, what has happened? Like, what do you want? What are you, right? Or what is it? It's I forget what the question exactly, but what is it like to be you? I think the chief asks, and the spirit says torture. But the reason why, part of what you learn later is that the reason why the spirit feels like it's in torture is because Larry is torturing himself for 70 years, right? And like there's a part where like there's a really one of the best episodes is called Danny Street, which is like Danny the Street is a fictional character in the DC universe. Danny is a living, sentient piece of urban geography that can magically and seamlessly place themselves. It's a non-binary street. It's a non-binary, queer, sentient street. Like you know, with like asphalt and yellow center lines and then white lines. It's like it's a street itself. It's a sentient piece of urban geography that can magically and seamlessly place themselves in any urban landscape at will, without any disruption of their surroundings. They can freely interact with any other sapient being throughout various forms of visual printing within their proximity. So like there's like a construction sign that talks to you. It's like, hey, welcome to Danny Street, and you can ask Danny questions. And like a sign in one of the cake, cakes for sale bake shop will have a sign that says, what are you doing on my street? And it like actually talks to you through the signs on the street. And anyway, and Danny the Street in Doom Patrol. Oh, it's called Danny Patrol. I'm sorry. Every episode of Doom Patrol is like something patrol. And so on Danny Street, there is a club, right? I'm gonna give you the whole thing, but there's an FBI there's like a Hydra like Striker, like in Striker in X-Men, he's like a neocon Dick Cheney kind of character who's tasked with eliminating and wiping out, right, genociding all mutation, right, all difference, killing them. And there's an entity in the Doom Patrol called the Agency for Normality, and their job is to wipe out all weird, unusual, different. It's very similar to Striker, right? In X-Men, their job is to wipe out all difference, right? So literally gay, queer, weird blob things, robot guys, and it's definitely a symbol for racism and bigotry and all the other intersecting hierarchies and fear and attacking of difference that the United States and the West is fucking full to the brim of, obviously. And so Danny Street is the street that protects all queer and different peoples. It's similar to the Chief in that sense. It's a place for all of the people that don't fit. It's like a permanent Rocky Horror Picture Show sort of thing. Which it's very much, you can feel the cross inspiration between all of those things in the 60s and 70s. But Danny Street, and one of the people that works for like a Striker like Agency for Normality that's supposed to be wiping out all difference, goes to Danny Street, but instead of like destroying the street, right, working with this like CIA like agency to eradicate the street, the agent, that's a black agent, realizes that like the agent is actually like seeing all these queer people, seeing all these people dressing in whatever clothes they want, identifying however they want, being different. The agent becomes a black drag queen and protects Danny Street, and fights against the agency that sent him there. And because the agent discovers that the agent is not a him, and the agent is a her. That's part of it. And Larry's character in this episode, but Larry as a gay, right, the gay man, he there's a point where like, get up, like Larry, you're on Danny Street now. You don't have to, and also the world has moved on, like you're in 2020, you're not in 1960. Like you don't have to like hide. The world is not afraid of your gay, the world is not, there's still homophobia in the world, but it's not the level of persecution of gay people. It's like, okay, if you're gay, in a lot of spaces now, you don't have to completely hide your gayness, right? But Larry is still stuck in 1950s, 1960s, and he doesn't want to get up, even on Danny Street, and sing. He's like, go up and sing and do your thing, right? And like Larry like dreams this like alternate version where he's actually doing like a cabaret and he's singing the song with the queer black drag queen, and the rock man has this boa, and but then he doesn't do it because Larry is still torturing himself, and Larry is living in the past, and Larry is wallowing in his depression, and Larry is you know, keeping himself in a little box that he made for himself decades ago, you know, and he's stuck there. He's not moving on, right? And that's, you know, then there's a lot of things going on. Danny Street it's probably it's probably like the best episode, I would say. And so, you know, and so that's what I'm talking about. We're talking about Doom Patrol and not Doomering, right? And so, you know, because, you know, in the world now, I mean, it's difficult. There's a lot of things going bad. There's a lot of shit flying around. You know, there's a lot of hopefully not too many nuclear missiles flying around, but there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm gonna turn this off for a second. And so, in the world, you know, we're having a lot of these. There's a lot of things to get sad about. There's a lot of things to get mad about. You know, I'm sad and mad all the time. You know, and there's a lot of things to, you know, make you want to doomer out. You know, and like just give up and be like Larry, right? And go into a deep, dark cave, right? And then never come out. You know, metaphorically and literally. And but the thing is, like, number one, that doesn't help you personally. Actually, you know, depression and wallowing, you know, being sad is a normal thing, but being in deep bouts of, like, for weeks, days, weeks, and months at a time is actually harming yourself. You know, that's how you get diagnosed specifically. It has to do with the time, the amount, you know, and the severity and the frequency. And ultimately, you know, these things don't really help anybody, you know, at the end of the day. People have to grieve, but people can also, like, you know, get their life going and get their things they need to do done. You know, like, people can do their job and do their work and keep, and also just internally for themselves and also externally for the rest of the world that needs everyone else to pull as much as possible, you know, because, you know, yeah, as terrible as it is that there is, like, you know, there's inequality, there's ethnic, there's racial inequality, there's, like, the horrors that are going on in, you know, parts of Europe, obviously, that are impacting the rest of the world, sanctions, all these things, and these things are all happening. There's things personally that family has done, that the accidents that have happened, you know, like Cliff, right? People that there are the physical destruction of your body, you know, and being disabled now, and that's not, you know, and that sucks. But Cliff also, like, you know, wallows in his own, oh, I don't have a body anymore, I hate this, I hate the world, I give, you know, it's like, well, I mean, you know, you're still in the world. I'm sorry that you don't have the body you used to have. You know, there's a lot of people that don't have the body they used to have. It's called being human. It's called getting old. You know, you still have to deal with your life. You know, you still have to, like, show up and do the work you got to do with the limitations that you now have. And that's, like, part of Cliff's whole thing is, like, stop whining and being a baby, right? And then living in your little hole and show up for your job with everything else and figure it out. You know, change things around, but you figure it out. And Larry, it's like, hey, Larry, yeah, you were gay and America didn't accept gay people. And now you have to show up and do your goddamn job and don't hide in a little hole, you know, because there's other people that still need you and still need your help. And also stop punishing yourself, you know, and also you grow up, you know. And each of the characters, you know, like Jane's one is a little different, but, and you know, and the Rita character is like, hey, you know, yeah, you were kind of mean and a dick to all the people around you, you know, and you hurt a lot of people, like, that for your own personal clout, your own personal fame, and your personal self-aggrandizement, and you kind of stuck up, and you were, like, living in this image that you produced of yourself from the past, and you gotta, like, maybe, like, you weren't all that the silver screen and the Hollywood projections and all of the Time magazines and all of the E-entertainment, right, said you were, because you're actually the blob melted face kind of horrifying monster version of you reflects who you are inside, but that doesn't mean you can't be someone else now, you know. Like, number one, you have to, like, realize that you were a terrible person. Number two, you don't have to stay a terrible person and just wallow in a blob of yourself. You have to, like, be a different person now, you know, like, get better, you know, and not, like, sit in a house for 70 years with Bandage Man, and cry forever. Because that doesn't help you. That's torture for you. And it's also not helping the world that you could be saving. Right? Because the thing about the Doom Patrol is the Doom Patrol technically are, or they could be, a superhero team that could be helping the world. You know? Stopping Mr. Nobody. They can. They do. Right? They could be stopping the Decreator. They could be doing all these things. They could be helping people, you know, like feeding, housing, clothing, providing material conditions, fighting actual fights, getting work done in the real world that needs to get done. All the work is not just necessarily working for, you know, McDonald's necessarily, but care work, maintaining housework, producing music and videos and art and entertainment and journalism. There's all this work that needs to get done. You know, getting the trash taken out, fixing your house, stuff like that. And that work doesn't, you know, other people can come do the work for you, you know, but you know, if you have the ability to, you know, but you are personally stopping yourself from doing the work because you're unnecessarily wallowing your own undealt with stuff that you could move on from. You are harming not just yourself, but other people, because you're not fulfilling. Well, in Hawaii we call this kuleana. You're not fulfilling your responsibility because you're feeling sorry for yourself forever. The other people that you could be helping. The Doom Patrol this is the other thing. If the Doom Patrol doom out forever, and this is for everyone, right? If all of the social, just as an example, right? If the reason why the United States, right? People often ask, why does the U.S. not have universal healthcare? Why does the U.S. not have like people up in the streets, why isn't everything different? Why are people? When do people be so upset with the 70 million starving, like all the problems, right? Collapse of their economy, the people, everyone like living hand to mouth, all the homelessness, all of the suffering, the Vietnamese, the Cubans, the Chinese, the rest of the global south. They look at America, they go, what is wrong with those people, right? But you know, because part of it is the U.S. is wallowing in itself, in general. You know, they're like, oh, my life is so hard. Oh, please, you know, somebody. It's the world's fault. It's the capitalism's fault that I I'm living in this terrible situation. Yeah, I mean, yeah, capitalism, fuck you. Yeah, it's just like, oh, the car crash fucked me, and I'm Robot Man, and I'm sad. You gotta freaking help me, you know. And Mr. Larry Trainer, oh, the space program fucked me. You know, people were anti-gay, and yeah, that's sad. But the reason why the United States doesn't have its material conditions met, unlike Cuba and China and Vietnam, is because 300 million people haven't taken the responsibility to fix their damn country on themselves. And they point out the U.S. wants you to doomer out and cast all of your hopes onto some president. Some every 4 years just vote your way in and go, oh, please save me. Right? Mr. Bernie gonna come along with his gloves and his social, and oh, look at, he has a Nordic model. He's got really good ideas. And then let someone else, right? Let the chief come in and take care of you. When you're the one who has to take, like look at Bolivia. How did Bolivia get millions of people out of poverty, educated, health, housing? Is it because other Bolivians, made a really big GoFundMe and asked someone else to take care of them? Not to say you shouldn't GoFundMe if you have to, but I mean, is it because did the Chinese look up to a great leader and just like sit down and cry and then vote someone in to get the greatest poverty alleviation and the most successful socialism on the planet with septillion times faster supercomputers, with the greatest COVID response in the history of the Earth, with the greatest poverty alleviation, like I already said, 1.4 billion people, with 50% of the global renewables, saving the planet, saving themselves, building win-win cooperation, saving the goddamn. The Chinese are the ultimate superheroes. There's nothing. It's Captain China by far, and it's not Xi Jinping. It's all the people, right? No, the Chinese didn't go, oh, please help me. The Chinese showed up for work. The Chinese work harder. The Chinese don't. Oh my God, colonialism destroyed my culture and we were the most poorest. Oh my God, I had to eat fucking cockroaches and we had no septic system. And oh, it's so hard. Please send me some money. Please, America. The Chinese didn't ask for anything. The Chinese were one of the few countries that get zero Western aid. They got nothing. Because the Chinese didn't. Not to say that all the countries, did it wrong. Well, the Chinese said, we are going to stop wallowing in this colonial humiliation. Yes, they humiliated us. Yes, they destroyed us. Yes, the West came and opium warred us and they put us in this place. And no one is going to get us out of this sad, broken, sick man of Asia. No one is going to get us out of our little cave but ourselves. That's why the Chinese are where they are, and America is going to hell. In a large, because it's not, like I said, you can blame capitalism, your mom and dad, your mean boss, your mean abuser for the rest of your life. And you will torture yourself and you will die, and everyone around you will suffer and die like the rest of America is doing, like the West is doing. That's the difference. It's not, and I don't know how to break that cycle. It's hard to break that cycle, but that's social work. That's what I did, with the kids in STEM. It's like, hey, kids, Neofeud, right? This game I made. Hey, kids. This game, that's what it's about. Hey, kids, I'm sorry that you were born in a legally occupied Hawaii that used to have the highest literacy rate, used to have world's first universal healthcare, used to have racial equality, used to have, an anti-imperialist socialist country standing against the global empires, and then it got invaded. I'm sorry. And now you're born here as a Filipino, Hawaiian, Samoan in the ghetto here, and it's treated you bad, and your parents treat you bad, the cops beat you up. That fucking sucks. You don't have an education, your teachers are mean to you, you live in poverty, that sucks. That sucks. And you can stay up all night playing video games and watching movies and doing nothing in your mommy and daddy's house that's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And you know what that's gonna do? That's gonna wind you up in poverty, in prison. You're gonna do these negative behaviors, you're gonna go sell drugs, you're gonna go party all fucking night. You're gonna wind up sad. You're gonna take a shitty situation that the United States and racialized capitalism and colonialism have put you in, and that your parents have put you in, and you're gonna make yourself worse, and you're gonna torture yourself, and then you're gonna make the future worse. That's the reality. Is Oahu, has to grow up in different ways. That's the ones in the nicer houses, they gotta get some goddamn balls. And the ones at the bottom, they also have to pick up themselves. My job is not to tell you, oh, the world hurt you so much, and now I'm just here to give you everything you fucking need. If I told you that, I'd be harming those kids, because what those kids need is to get their ass kicked and to get the fuck up, show up for your goddamn class, because I can't help you to get out of this ghetto, Hawaiian Filipino, fucking meth dealer, or 16 and pregnant teenage girl. Hey, I'm sorry that your boyfriend left you and you're 16 years old and you got a child coming. Do you want a better life for that child, or do you want to sit around and have another child that goes to prison or dies, or both? I'm sorry that your dad went to prison because he punched out the cop and your mommy is gone. I'm so sorry. Do you want to repeat that cycle, or do you want to get better? If you want to get better, it's gonna take work. Just be glad you weren't born in fucking China in 1940s, because it would take a lot more work. Be glad you weren't born in Vietnam in the 60s, because you could just be dead. Be glad you weren't born in Iraq, in the 90s, because you'd just be dead. Or you'd be struggling a lot. It would take a lot more work for the future. You have the opportunity, because you were born in the United States, as shitty as it is, to make the things better. More opportunity than even all the people that are having much worse off than you. So, show up. Leave your cage. Leave the prison that you've built for yourself in your own brain, called I can't do anything because the world hurt me. Stop wallowing in your depression and your abuse. Get your goddamn work done. If you want to move forward with your life, you're gonna need to get this work done and then other work done. This is the paradox of socialism. Ultimately, you will get the things you need without cost, right? With very minimal cost, right? Your healthcare, your housing, all your basic needs. But to build the socialism, paradoxically, takes more work than surviving the capitalism. That's a big problem I have with leftists in the West. I mean, black, brown, indigenous, white, everyone. Because it doesn't matter if you're black, brown, indigenous. You're already part white. You're already part American. because you are speaking English too late. You know, you're already part of that. And even if you don't, you're in and you're raised in a system that tells you sit down, push a button, and whine and cry and wallow. That's what it tells you to do. That's not what it takes to actually build the actual Hawaii that we had. The actual Aloha Pono Kuleana civilization is more work. I mean, once it's running and everyone's putting in that work, it can be less. But to get it going, you know, especially in capitalism, it's going to take more people doing more work, you know, from their ability. But I mean, you know, sometimes it's going to take, you know, when the Chinese are like, oh, it's so sad. I mean, they had to work 10, sometimes longer hours than they wanted to. And people go, oh, that's so terrible. They're oppressive. But that's what it took to build the foundation to liberate themselves. It means it might take more than 40 hours. Because you got to do extra political work. You got to do extra care work. All the extra on the side work. All the journalism takes extra time. And the United States and the capitalist world is not going to give you a break. They're not going to take a break imperializing and trying to recolonize you. So you can't take a break from trying to fight that system. It's going to take more work to build the social. Now, once you get there, like Vietnam, like Cuba, you know, you have the needs met. But actually, if you even North Korea, 100% housing rate. But if you're North Korea, right? If you feel sad one day, you can't. Oh, I'm not gonna do my electrical work today because I feel sad. Oh, I don't feel like working because I got hurt when I was 12, and one time somebody said something mean to me, so I'm not gonna work for the next week. If you have the ability, you show up. Otherwise, we don't have socialism anymore. Otherwise, we have a bunch of self-interested, self-centered, centering yourself, sad, depressed, capitalist people falling apart. You have a bunch of doomers. And doomering is not socialism. Doomering is not communist. Doomering is not left. Doomering is not indigenous to my mind. You know, the reason why indigenous people are still here is because they haven't given in to their own depression, their own sadness, because they fought through the apocalypse that happened 500 years ago. That's why there's any indigenous people that are left. If everyone just said, oh, it's all over, the ones that said it's all over, they're all white now. You know, they all have some ancestor. They're all 1/64th Cherokee now. You know, or they're just like pretending like they're not. That's the ones who doomered out. Oh, the Sioux, the Anishinaabe, my Cherokee ancestors, my Hawaiian ancestors, they lost, and so I'm just gonna go be an American. I'm gonna go, you know, work for this bank or this Safeway, and I'm just gonna like do nothing outside of that, and I'm just gonna be sad, and I'm gonna hope that Bernie gives me socialism, and I don't know, I'm just gonna be a coward, and I'm just gonna be sad about it. Just be sad, or just pretend like I'm white. To actually pursue, it is an incredible challenge. It is the biggest challenge to build a successful, healed civilization. And it takes an incredible amount of positivity, the opposite, because of the massive enemies and odds that face you. You cannot allow this self-indulgent, mindset. You know, you're seeing a lot of people. That's what's happening now, because the left, especially for the last year, but even more now, and in a lot of personal relationships, everywhere, because people are they're not getting the attention, right? Oh, my stream isn't getting as much visibility. Oh no, people are losing their things on the left, and it's like, yeah. What did you think? What did you think? I mean, I always acknowledge. Why do you think I always say at the end of the stream? Why do you think, like I said, why do you think I make all of the titles on my streams, right? Some movie, because I know this is what's gonna happen. You know, I'm like expecting this. You know, because, well, number one, we're realists. Number two, we're trying to prepare for that. We're preparing in advance. And number three, like, just because not enough people showed up for my thing this time. You know, it's not fun to go, oh my God, some of my comrades, our union hall is not coming through. Our IWW thing is not working out. Oh, we got COINTEL'd and our entire, left group dispersed. Our black indigenous people of color, I don't know, they're coming for us. We're getting censored, our site, And the answer, yeah, it's going to be hard. It's going to be easy to just go, oh, I give up, and now I'm going to let someone else, I don't know. No one's going to come for you. There's no Superman. That's the other problem with superhero movies. It's like, there's no Superman. There's no Justice League. There's no Iron Man. Iron Man is Elon. He's gonna kill you. He's not gonna save you. He's gonna let you die in the homeless tent city, and he's gonna Starlink his ass up into Mars. No one is coming for you. You have to come for yourself. You and your comrades, who should each, be doing their kuliana, are the only ones that are gonna come, and when you fall into the self-defeat and the self and into a empire of your a chamber, a prison of yourself and your own bullshit, you failing not yourself, just yourself, your comrades that need you there. It needs you there, because it's not going to get better anytime soon. These sanctions, the economic effects, the West is going to lose. This is a changing. This is a multi. I brought that. I've gone on streams just about how this is a multi-thousand-year struggle that's coming to a long fruition that began with an Aquila and trauma, or even before that there were other empires. There's Greece even before that, but this is a multi-thousand-year East-West shift. The struggle, but the struggle that the East and the global South are now turning the tides on is going to mean it is not going to get necessarily easier, because the people that run the United States, NATO, EU, and these other places, they are going to make it harder for their own 99%, their own peoples, as they lose. I was just listening to South America and Central South America, Latin America, and China working closer together. U.S. losing deals there. U.S. can't cut anything with Venezuela. China has vastly overtaken the U.S. in every category. Grain, agriculture, electric technology, or energy. China is building that. That means less colonial. The $450 trillion that we talk about, the global South has stolen to the global North. That's gonna that fire hose of resources that's being sucked out by a giant squid like tentacles from the global North is going to dwindle, and that means where are the rich going to get their money and the resources? They're gonna suck it. You think it's bad now? They're gonna suck it even more from you. Inflation is going up. That's gonna keep going up. The electricity in Hawaii is going up 20%. You know what that means? That means that people need to help each other by doing more work. That's not gonna mean less work. That's gonna mean more work. The price of everything is going to go up. That's going to mean more work. That's not going to mean, oh my God, please, that's not going to cut it anymore. The left is going to get attacked more. You can already see the anti-communism. Yuri Gagarin, Dostoevsky, Tchaikovsky is like now he has the cacophonous symphonies of evil because he's a Russian composer, right? But anything left of Victoria Nuland and the neocons is going to be suspect. You thought it was hard in the 20s teens? It's going to get harder. And that means you have to even more get your shit together so you can actually build the socialism, build the better world, build the decolonized world, because they're going to fight you even harder now. And, I feel like I've said my point. I put the trailer on for too long, but but this is just a review. This is all in a video game. I'm reviewing Doom Patrol. The Doom Patrollers are gonna build a better world because they get out of their cage, right? Stop being sad that the world was homophobic and still is kind of homophobic. Stop being sad that you are not a beautiful, 10 out of 10, actress. Stop being sad that you lost your body and you're an asshole and you lost your child. You lost your child partly because you're an asshole. Try to stop being a dickhead to everyone around you and harming everyone around you, and rein that shit in. Because you can't just be like, well, I'm not gonna be a dick to people around me, so I'm just not gonna do anything. No, you got to do your work and not be a dick to people around you. And then Cyborg is the one that's mostly like, you gotta maybe take the cyber brain out of your head. Don't put an Elon Musk Neuralink in your brain, man. I'm just gonna tell you that. Well, that's not really his fault. His body got fucked up, and then Daddy put Cyberpunk 2077 augmentations in him. So But anyways, so that to me is a very important lesson from this show, And also, like I said, don't doomer out and bring about needless war, on another way, the peace movement and the left is for stopping this violence and by stopping what we can stop, which is the aggression into that region, NATO expansion and stopping the U.S. military-industrial complex, right? The peace movement cannot doom her out. The peace movement has to accelerate. There's no, oh my God, we could all be blown up in the no-fly zone nuclear warfare or collapse of supply chains due to this conflagration and our the U.S. is the accelerating de-dollarization. The U.S. is accelerating the Silk Road undoing of the neo-colonial wealth extraction. Hey, that means it's time to accelerate. Now, oh my God, things could get more expensive. That means you're gonna have to do more work. That means you're gonna have to stop the war harder. It means you're gonna have to build the socialism, build the actual leftism faster. You're gonna have to mutual aid harder. You're gonna have to do that, and that's gonna be work. That's gonna be work. Like the Chinese. You have not worked anywhere close to the Chinese. And so the time to doom her out is like never, really, but sure as hell ain't now. Or if you do, don't call yourself a leftist, don't call yourself Hawaiian, don't call yourself Kanaka Maoli, go call yourself like Hillary Clinton. Call yourself, my name is Kaleo Clinton. Don't call yourself Hawaiian. The Hawaiians stopped colonization for a century and built socialism. They didn't doom her out. If they wanted to doom her out, they would have gone the way of a lot of other people that were wiped off the face of the planet in all continents, in the indigenous people in the era of colonization. So don't call yourself a native Hawaiian. If you're gonna doom out, you're gonna be sad. If Kalakaua was like, oh my God, my country's going away. Oh no. The Americans are racist to me. Oh no. Then there wouldn't be it. Then there wouldn't have never been the world's first universal healthcare system. And Emma, who the mother, she's like, oh, it's so hard to get funding from my universal healthcare system. I don't know what to do. I guess I just won't make it. Then there would never have been any free healthcare anywhere in the world for decades, because Hawaii had the world's first universal healthcare system. Right? I don't know how to do this. It's so hard. I have to study so fucking hard. They all spoke like 8-10 languages. That's a lot of. You having a hard time on Duolingo learning one language? Try learning 10 languages. That's a lot of work. Try interacting. You have a hard time interacting with some trolls. Try interacting with white Americans while you look like a black or a dark brown person. They call you an N-word. Traveling across the U.S. That's what they had to do. That was not fun in the 1800s. You have a hard time with some. You sad because a handful of trolls. Somebody said something mean to you. Hey, people say shit to me all the goddamn time. People said shit to Queen. They call her the N-word Queen. When our elected leader went through the United States of America on train, did she go, oh, it's so hard, I'm not going to be queen anymore? No, she was like, these people are racist. I have to work harder to fight this system by proving them that we Hawaiians are even more advanced. And we have to work 3 times as hard to prove that we deserve to be called and treated as equals. Not, oh, it's so hard. Otherwise, how is Silver Spoon going to make all these threads about how we had the most advanced indigenous, how are we going to make, where's the goddamn thread? I want to find it real fast. Just quick shout out for our ancestors in Hawaii who didn't doomer themselves out. Where the fuck is it? How are they going to respond to, Americans think, the way that we got industrialized was by Hawaiians like studying science, technology, engineering, and mathematics and working their ass off to build the most advanced mass transit system in the world in the 1800s, when America still can't get people's basic housing or transportation needs met, having electricity before the White House. How do you think Hawaiians got electricity before the White House? Is it because they were sad that people called them N-words? You think that they just were like, oh my God, this is so hard, so much work to figure out how to, light with electricity that had never been done before our entire city. Oh my God, it's so hard, No, they just said it's hard work and we're gonna work even harder than Americans. We're gonna work hard because you bet your ass they have to work harder than Americans because they didn't have a bunch of slaves to do the work for them. They didn't have a bunch of underpaid capitalists, cogs to do the work for them. They didn't have indentured servant coolies to do the work for them, like on the railroads. So the Hawaiians had to work harder to build more advanced civilization in the 1800s. We had the highest literacy rate. Do you think they had the highest literacy rate because everybody got sad and then they didn't read, or they got discouraged and they stayed home, or they dropped out, or they just chilled out and drank beer under the coconut tree and went beach, or played video games and watched movies all fucking day? Is that how they became the highest literacy rate country in the world, behind all European countries? No. You know, you think Kalakaua, you know, he was like, oh my god, I don't know how to invent things, and like Americans are so smart. I mean, I'm just gonna wait around for them to invent. No, he's just like, I'm gonna invent my own vessels. You know, partially it's because the Americans are gonna come and they're gonna attack us, and we don't have a large military or personnel or flight force, but we're gonna have the most advanced submarine fish ram that can attack like Blackbeard. We're gonna have the most advanced methods of defense on the naval high seas, so the British Empire can't rule us, and the American Empire can't rule us. They didn't get to that point because of history and time and confluences in geopolitics. But Kalakaua was like, I'm gonna make this so we can try to save us. You know, the world is racist. We'll just be racist with the world. Is that what the Hawaiians did? No, they gave full citizenship to Chinese and black people. Do you think America and Europe were happy? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Americans were horrified. They're upset. Puritans, Calvinists, they're like, what are these N-word peoples allowing slaves to be free? That pissed off slave owners, capitalists, colonialists, Europeans, New Zealanders. They all wrote about the horrors of Haiti. They wrote of the horrors of places that didn't allow racialized capitalism. And Hawaiians said, fuck you and all of your racism. We're going to be an anti-racist country. And also be more advanced than you at the same time. You know? So you know, anyway. And, you know, now we're here. But, you know, we don't get out of 1 in 6 Hawaiian residents struggling to read by everybody feeling sad and asking America for a handout. And asking America to teach us to read. America never going to teach you to read. You teach your goddamn self to read. That's why we're teaching our own kids to read. And we're reading the right things. Because nobody's going to do that shit for you. Unless you just want to wither away and die, go into the dumpster, and wallow in your own pity. You know, nobody's going to do this. You know, I post all these threads where I bring this to the forefront because, hey, guess what? You know, do you want to stop Red Hill, where it takes people like fucking me going directly at the U.S. military for all many hours, which is also work, I might add. I can't do all that work, so I gotta do all the work. But I mean, part of it is, you know, do you want to stop this poisoning of the U.S. military in the water of Hawaii? It takes a lot of people, like Oahu Water Protectors, not just me. Oahu Water Protectors, Makioki, all the people out there doing all this work. That's a lot of goddamn work. You don't do that work, you're not gonna have no Hawaii. You have nothing. So anyway, you get the point, which is that, you know, all of that stuff, the economic paying for your bills that cost money, that shit takes work. Stopping the political work is work. The care work is work to keep the children raised. You know, like Holly does a lot of that stuff. That's all work. That's all time. That's all energy. That's all spoons. If Holly's like, oh, I'm just gonna sit in my bed and do nothing all day, and then the work don't happen, and then children get neglected. You know, and then you don't have. And then children don't want to be in your life because you were a neglectful parent, or you're a failure. You know, like Cliff Steele. You know, not that guy. This guy. So that all is work that has to be done, and it takes like getting past your shit, not staying in your bed and in your room all day, and blaming the world and whatever, and it's moving forward. Anyways, so but yeah, you know, check out the Asia Pacific Cooperation. I have all these panels, you know, where we talk about these things. All that stuff is work, by the way. You know, I gotta email like 20 different people and go 7 of them respond, and I gotta back and forth with them. I gotta coordinate it with Lou, and I gotta try to set these panels up. That's all work. That all takes time. That's why we appreciate if people can support us for the work that we do through Patreon, because nobody's gonna, you know, I'll tell you what, CNN, MSNBC, Fox, I mean, RT's gone. Empire Files is gone. All the like left media is all being wiped out. Radio Sputnik is like, you search for it, you get like Russian propaganda. You get like a long list of McCarthyist black site, you know, or like this site is dangerous communist, you know, brainwashing. It ain't easy to do the stuff that we're doing now. You know, I am worried. I'm like, shit. That's why do you think I do the stream? Why do you think I do things the way that I do them? It's because it's not easy. right? So that's, you know, but it is also, it is work. And so, you know, that's why we got to do the things that we're doing them through Patreon. And, you know, it's like, and it's work. So can you please help us do it if you have the discretionary income and resources to help us do it. The education work, the edutainment, and then also making the games, right, which are entertaining and also hopefully educational, like Neofeud and Decolonators, which are, you know, anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist, anti-racist games. I don't mince words ultimately when I'm talking about them, but I mean that stuff does take money, it does take time, it does take energy. So like, you can support us also, and also that's another important thing. Don't be afraid to ask for, you know, it's part of win-win cooperation, right? Like Shakang Shakui is a common moderate prosperity for all in and outside of China, but also win-win cooperation, mutual beneficial trade. But you have mutual means two ways, right? So like, you know, and so like if you do work, then you should ask me, can you help me for the things that I'm providing for you, right? That's like mutual win-win, right? If one person does work and another person takes it, that's called slavery, that's called colonialism, that's called the European Union, Europe and Euro colonizers taking advantage of the rest of the world. That's called win-lose. Somebody sits around and sips their tea with their pinky out, and everyone else makes the tea, you know, kills people to, you know, get the slaves to harvest the resources to make the rest of the food. This is called win-lose. But mutual means like you do work and then you trade something in return for that, right? Or you give money if you have to, right? But everybody is doing the work and then equally trading in win-win cooperation, right? China doesn't show up in Cuba and go, hey, we're gonna give you like millions of dollars for free out of charity of our kindness of our heart. I mean, sometimes they forgive because it's like you guys are behind, but they still like Cubans. You have to produce something. What are you gonna produce? That's what Chinese ask you. What are we gonna trade with you? They go to Nicaragua, they go to Ecuador. What are we gonna trade? Nicaragua, can you produce like 5G headsets or electric infrastructure? Can you help us with like this energy need? Do you have like this agricultural product? What the Chinese come and they ask, what are you gonna give us in return for the things that we're gonna give you these things, we're gonna sell you these things, and what are you gonna sell back to us? And you know, it's not like we're gonna show up, and we're gonna like give you everything you need, and you just sit there and I don't know, that is what the West says it's gonna do, and that doesn't work. Number one, because West isn't there to aid you, they're there to extract resources, pretending to be doing charity, and keep you de-developed, right? But that's actually what the Chinese are doing, and socialist countries are doing internationally. Cuba and Venezuela, when they work together, you know, they're like, what are we gonna exchange, right? Because it's not healthy for us to just give you stuff and you just take it, because you're not empowering yourself. You're not growing yourself. You're not becoming a developed sovereign, which requires economic development, which requires work. You know, if we just give you stuff, that's not really helping you. I mean, you know, it's like the teach a man the fish, you know, versus give the man the fish versus teach the man the fish thing. Nobody follows that in the West. Everybody just takes everyone else's fucking fish. But nobody teaches anything. Colleges are private equity firms masquerading as places of learning. But anyways, but you know, it's like on a nation-to-nation level, that's what we need, and that's what. But also on a personal level, that's also what we need. Anyways, that's my Doom Patrol though, because you know, mostly what this is I just wanted to go off about Doom Patrol and talk about Bandage Man and Robot Man, Cyborg, and Rita, the Elastigirl. I mean, is that Elastigirl? I mean, the way it's played out in the TV show from the 2019 to 2022 is very different. I think it seems a lot of things are kind of different. And Jane, the 64 personalities, each with their own superpower. That's what this is actually about. It's nothing to do with just some random liberal movie review. That's all. TV show review. That's all this is. Anyway, so but yeah. So anyway, if you do want to support us, don't forget you can support us through Patreon, and also you can check out Neofeud, which is on Steam. Look at that. I'm gonna get done with this a little bit earlier because we got other stuff to do. But yeah, you can check out Neofeud, which is a game that's on Steam. It is also on itch.io. But yeah, it's a game that's about it's a dystopic cyberpunk adventure game in the vein of Blade Runner with an overlay of Game of Thrones like political intrigue and 1366. Anyway, I'm gonna have to change the description later. But anyway, making your if you want to help us out, you can pick the game up, you can add it to the wish list, tell your friends about it, and of course leave even if you can leave a very short review of some type, it is very much appreciated because it increases the likelihood that the algorithms will show the game to people when they're browsing the site. It's like Detroit Become Human, but not made by a AAA game company with a kind of shitty dickhead running it. It's like Chrono Trigger. I don't know how Neofeud is exactly like Chrono Trigger. It is story rich. It's not a JRPG. It's a point and click adventure. But anyway, Neofeud is the game that is on Steam, so check it out there. You can also find Neofeud on itch.io for Windows, Mac, and Linux. And Neofeud is a game on Windows, Mac, and Linux that you can get on sale on itch. Also, you can get the game with maximum revenue going to the creators here at the Silver Spook Cooperative / Commune / Silver Spook Kui. And you know, if you buy the game, it's the maximum revenue percent comes to the creators. Anyways, you can also check out Decolonators. Decolonators is for Windows, Mac, and Linux, and Android. Any system that can run a browser, you can get on surf the internet. You can pick this game up and play it. And it's a game where you kept capitalist colonizers' butts out of Vietnam in retro arcade game glory. So yeah, and made with Luna Oi, our very good Vietnamese comrade. And of course, you can also get Woman, which is by Holly E. Argent. And this is a book that's by a woman raised in right-wing evangelical Protestant Christianity, and is not meant to be a historical retelling, but it is a retelling of the work of the life of Mary, while kind of dunking on it. And Holly is also, so you can buy the book here, or you can just get it for free, or you can donate some. And Holly is also, actually, we'll do that later. Sorry. And then you can support us, as I said, on Patreon at patreon.com/Neofeud. Thanks a lot to Tobias Brown, who gave us a lot of support. I should probably make a goal or something, but we're not even close to not being poor. Basically, we're not even close. So we can always use more support. So if you want access to Silver Spook updates on all of the games and inside information on what we're doing, the Discord, so you can join like the internal Silver Spook community. You can also get access to you also can support us in an ongoing fashion for the work that we do here. Consider how much this is worth to you. Consider what how important what we do is, and if you have the ability, please consider supporting us. You can also follow at Silver Spook Games at octodon.social on Mastodon, which is a decentralized, non-capitalist, federated, open-source social media platform. In this time where everyone is losing all of their accounts everywhere because there's never been freedom of speech in the West, and it's just being revealed now. There's freedom to support racism, capitalism, and Nazis. That's the only freedom there's ever been. Freedom isn't never free. Freedom of speech costs money. That's the paradox. If you have billions of dollars, you can make your own platforms and servers and buy reality. But it's harder for them to stop you from saying things on a decentralized open source platform. So I recommend, as a backup, you might want to get this, even though the reach of Mastodon is tiny. While we have access to the Death Star satellites, you can follow at Silver Spook Guy on Twitter for my personal takes on stuff. This is like some recent ones I did about the universal healthcare system that was established in Hawaii 160 years ago, decades before any country. So I tweet about all kind of things related to Hawaii, politics, etc. And follow at Silver Spook Guy. What's happening at Red Hill, which is that we're still being poisoned, and 75% of Hawaii is experiencing a drought as we speak. And this is solidifying the water, and so we might never have fresh water again on Oahu. I don't think people even realize how urgent this is. So if you want to get updates on that stuff, you can follow me at Silver Spook Guy. You can follow Silver Spook Games minus the E in silver for games related stuff, like when Neofeud goes on sale, when Neofeud 2 is having updates. This is one of the updates, one of the screenshots. And other games related things to what we do is going to be on the Silver Spook Games social media. You can follow Terminus C. Terminus C is Terminus Cyberstar's social media handle. It is a game that I'm the content director and lead writer on. It's a cyberpunk RPG, kind of like Deus Ex, closer to Deus Ex, the old school one, than Cyberpunk 2077. or System Shock, and it's a game that it's having a bunch of new updates. Oh, this is a new update. Check this out. This is I don't see this one. So this is like a this is like an apartment complex. But anyway, so I'm the lead writer and / content director on this game that is being developed in Unity with a bunch of other writers, programmers, artists, musicians, level designers, UI, music, voice, and other people. And this is like an elevator scene. Oh yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. So if you wanna follow that, you can follow @TerminusC, and you can join a Discord there. And you can also you can follow comma_1983 Positive Synergy, who is our brother and another member here at the Silver Spook Cooperative, who is also does education on things happening in Hawaii, issues related to Native Hawaiians, including Red Hill, and also is working on an album which is due to come out very soon. It's going to come out very soon. Let's just put it that way. And so if you wanna check that, which will be the album is gonna be really good. I know it is. It's the songs I've already heard several of the songs, and they're all really well done, and they deal with things related to Hawaii, and they're also personal songs, and it ranges it's a variety of styles that are going on, but like I'm certain that a lot of people will really like this album a lot. I mean, I can already tell. Holly and I both already do. So that's coming soon. And if you want to get updates on that, you can follow Positive Synergy or @comma_1983 as he completes his job finishing that album, and completes his Kuleana finishing that album. At the Tech Fairy is Holly Argent's Twitter, and you can follow Holly. For Holly is a producer and writer for the Goblin Mother, also known as Kate Nix, and that show. There's another season coming. Holly mods and manages and produces and does lots of stuff on that. Magic Storytime is another show that Holly also helps with and assists with, and Holly writes books like the one I just showed you, and of course help him on all of my streams and stuff, and also is my partner in making and having children, and shares the Kuleana and the responsibility of caring for them and taking care of them as well. There's a lot of stuff going on. We're doing a lot of stuff. We're doing a lot of work all the time. So I just fix multiple things to do with the house, the roof and gutters and all kind of stuff. So we're always doing that kind of stuff. So again, we really do appreciate the support in any way, including buying Holly's books, if you haven't yet. And anyway, thanks again finally to all the people on Patreon, all the Patreon patrons, I'm sorry. Especially the new one. That's like $50 a month. That's a lot. That's a lot. Tobias Brown, thank you very much. Mahalo. And yeah. Anyway, so we will be back. We will be back in the evening for because of daylight savings, everything's forward an hour. So 9 Pacific time instead of 8. We'll be back on Twitch and hanging out and showing some updates on Neofeud 2 and just other stuff. Anyways, until next time, keep your mirror stage polished. Be excellent to each other. Don't doomer out. Don't wallow in wells of self-pity. Don't get your Kuleana done. Get your work done. Whether you're happy, sad, or otherwise, you still got to get the work done. And yeah, we'll see you later. Aloha.